What is up, y'all? And welcome back to episode 18 of That's No Moon Pod. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in regards to Star Wars. Season 3, episode 4 just dropped. We got episode 14 of The Bad Batch Season 2. But really the main thing I kind of wanted to use this episode, Damon Lindelof, the rumored writer / producer of the next upcoming Star Wars movie, has recently dropped out of the project just 2 weeks from most likely being announced at Star Wars Celebration. So this is just another filmmaker leaving a Star Wars project throughout the years of ever since George Lucas sold the company over, and there's been nothing but drama behind the scenes of all the Star Wars projects, writers, directors, producers, just all kinds of different filmmakers leaving projects that they're attached to. And it seems like it's just been a Lucasfilm trend throughout the years. And so I kind of just wanted to use this episode as a little bit of a rant, I guess, and give my thoughts on what I think exactly is going on over at Lucasfilm and their whole mindset on the company and the future of it. But I'll save all that till the end. I kind of want to get the good stuff out of the way first, which is episode 4 of season 3 of The Mandalorian that just dropped today, called The Foundling. This episode was directed by Carl Weathers, which I didn't know was directing this episode. And I really like his style of directing. I know he's directed some episodes in the past as well. A really short episode this one was. I believe it was right about 30 minutes long, which I think, if you ask me and a lot of big Star Wars fans, I think we can all agree that they could have used at least another 15 minutes in this episode. But I don't really want to complain too much about it, because I think overall this episode was really entertaining. I think the action that we got from both the Grogu flashback scene that we've all been waiting for and anticipating from the trailers that we got, and just seeing kind of where Bo-Katan's mindset is now that she's been initiated into the clan with Mando, and she's kind of finding her place within the clan and realizing that they're just not a bunch of kooky religious Mandalorians hiding out in a cave somewhere. They actually have morals, and they look out for each other and have families. And I really just liked how this episode just kind of shows you a little bit of everything that we've been kind of wanting from the season so far, especially from last week's, where the majority of the episode was kind of overtaken from the whole Dr. Pershing storyline. But I think overall, besides the fact that it was only 30 minutes long, I really liked what they gave us within that time frame. I think seeing Ahmed Best play the Jedi that helps Grogu escape the Jedi Temple during Order 66 was a cool touch, just for the sake of how just poorly treated he was for just simply doing his job, portraying Jar Jar Binks in the prequels. I think it's cool to kind of give him this little redemption arc in his Star Wars career, and you actually get to, see his face and see what he can do while being a Jedi, helping out little Grogu get to safety, just taking out clones left and right, flying through Coruscant in a high-speed chase. And it was really cool just to get the whole prequel vibes of the ships and just kind of the feel of it all. And it's just cool to know, to finally see Grogu and who he escaped the Jedi Temple with. Now, what I'm curious about is, where exactly are they going? Like, how does Grogu eventually get into the hands of Moff Gideon and Dr. Pershing? And that whole time in between, exactly where does Grogu find himself? Does he just kind of end up getting into more danger as they fly off into hyperspace? I don't know if we're exactly going to see that whole time period from where we first see Grogu in Order 66 to where we eventually see him in the hands of Dr. Pershing and Moff Gideon and the Empire, kind of. But I think it's cool that all of that is kind of up in the air right now. We really don't know. That's kind of more stuff for us to kind of, theorize and speculate on where and what exactly Grogu's doing. But yeah, it was just really cool to see Jedi again, and that whole time period is a lot of people's favorites, including mine, and just seeing that in live action never really gets old. There was a lot of cute Grogu scenes in this episode, just him kind of waddling along, and we see him in the armor, and she's kind of telling him the ways of the Mandalore while forging him like a new chest plate, and she puts it on his chest, and it takes up pretty much his whole body. And it was just a cool little scene to get to finally see Grogu slowly becoming a Mandalorian of his own, and Din trusting Grogu to defend himself against other younger opponents, like the foundling that gets captured by the dragon in this episode. This whole episode really kind of felt like a House of Dragons type feel as well to it, obviously because the dragons, but just the way it was kind of shot, and kind of just the way they're flying and trying to chase after this big dragon, and when they end up eventually fighting the dragon at the end and saving the young foundling, the CGI of it all, the whole show has been amazing CGI. I really think what they're doing with the volume in this season is working for the most part as well. And to kind of get back to Bo-Katan, because I feel like this episode was kind of heavily featuring Grogu in the beginning, but then it kind of really starts to focus in more on Bo-Katan, and kind of showing you more and more again of her mindset slowly changing, possibly, of her earning the respect of the clan. And it was just cool to kind of, get those moments with her, and kind of her realizing that, oh, okay, I'm kind of the leader on this mission. So they tell her that she gets to sit by the fire and take off her helmet while she eats, while the others have to kind of just find a corner and eat to themselves. And I think she likes that kind of respect, and she was born to be a leader, and so it just kind of fits and feels natural to her. And once we get to the end of the episode and she's returned with Paz Vizsla, once they rescue the foundling, which is his son, and they're all cheering, and they bring back the dragons, little baby dragons to keep, and it would be cool to eventually see the Mandalorians just flying around on these dragons eventually. Like I said, kind of like some House of the Dragons style vibes. But it was a really cool scene at the end of this episode where Bo-Katan and the armor, and she's making Bo a new shoulder plate for her armor, and Bo-Katan insists on having the mythosaur on the piece of armor, and she's telling the armor, I've seen a mythosaur, and I'm not just saying that, but I've actually seen one in real life. And the armor is just kind of not fully believing her, I feel like, maybe. And, I think Bo-Katan's kind of having some conflicted thoughts on, I think maybe at the start she was thinking about possibly turning on the clan, or just kind of using them to her advantage and taking the mythosaur for herself and possibly the Darksaber. But I don't know, I think she might be slowly having a change of thought, but who knows. But still, like I said, I really enjoyed the episode. Just wish it was 15 minutes longer. They could have given us that at least. I think that would have made this episode probably one of the best episodes, period. But it is what it is. I think from here on out, since we're halfway through season 3 now, I think these next couple episodes are really going to start pushing the pace and kind of giving us the goods and what we all been expecting from the show. I think a lot of the trailers just showed pretty much what we've seen up to this point, and I think everything else from here on out is going to be new things that we haven't seen yet. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. Banger of an episode. And also a banger of an episode 14 of The Bad Batch Season 2. I think The Bad Batch Season 2 is killing it. It's been killing it all season long. And these last few especially, dude, just with Crosshair and the Bad Batch and all the clones just kind of changing up their story arc to where they're thinking on their own and kind of having these second thoughts on what they should be doing with their lives, and how unfairly and mistreated they've been from the Empire. And you knew once you see Crosshair in this episode that this episode is just going to get good right from the jump. And I just like the story they're telling, and kind of where I think eventually it's going to lead us into at the end of the season with Omega and that cloning doctor that's torturing Crosshair. And it was really cool to see Echo again and him return with the Batch, and seeing Tech and Omega flying around, and Omega's kind of learning the ways of flying, and she's really starting to become a really just well-trained soldier at this point, while also being so young. But you know she's going to end up getting kidnapped, captured by that doctor, and everyone's going to have to go and save her. That's pretty much how this season's going to end. But I think what they do in between that and how they finish the season off is going to be the big picture of it all. Hopefully no one has to eat it, but I feel like they might have to do it to someone. And I'm not looking forward to see who they choose. But like I said, Bad Batch has been killing it. If you're not watching Bad Batch yet, highly recommend it. I think the season's just going to finish off strong with these last two. But speaking of not finishing off strong or even starting off strong to begin with, let's transition into this final kind of thought or rant, I guess, on what exactly is going on over on the film side of Star Wars and Lucasfilm. Damon Lindelof, who was set to write, produce the next upcoming Star Wars project set to release in theaters 2 weeks prior from Star Wars Celebration, where I think everyone was anticipating them to announce this movie of his. And if you don't know Damon Lindelof, he did Lost, the Watchmen series. So he has a track record, and I think for the most part he's pretty well respected within that whole space of the genre, and I know he's a big time Star Wars fan himself. So when he first got announced, quote unquote, or just rumored to be announced that he was going to be helming the next Star Wars film project, I was a little underwhelmed, to be honest. I wasn't disappointed, but I was just, it didn't get me too excited. But I was still willing to, give him a chance and kind of see what he decides to do, and kind of see what they announced at Star Wars Celebration. And but then you hear the rumors of that the film was going to be a sequel trilogy type, and it was going to kind of push the story forward with what they were trying to do with the sequel trilogy and some of its characters. Daisy Ridley had been visiting Lucasfilm and kind of teasing at maybe possibly returning. And I think that kind of got a lot of people nervous. And I was too, a little bit, because I think, even before he had got, or rumored to have gotten announced to be helming it, there was just a lot of talk on whether or not they even had an idea of what they wanted to do with the next movie, even though it's been years since we've gotten a Star Wars movie. They still hadn't had a exact idea of where they wanted to go with a specific story, which was really troubling, and it's just insane to think about that a company like Lucasfilm and an IP like Star Wars doesn't know what they want to do with a movie after it's been 3 years since the last one, 4 years. And then once this whole Damon Lindelof story gets out and they're saying that it's going to be a sequel trilogy based type of film, everyone's kind of like, well, what are y'all doing? Y'all ain't really reading the room here and kind of seeing that, well, the sequel trilogy obviously wasn't received well with fans, so why would y'all push forward with another film surrounding that specific time period, right? But it seemed like that's what they were going to do. But now, just a couple days ago, Damon Lindelof says that he's out. His writing team is out. But supposedly, Lucasfilm is still pushing forward with this specific project. And I guess they supposedly have a new writer at the helm already. But it's like, are you really just going to take another L by letting another filmmaker drop out on a project with y'all and just push out this film regardless, just for what, money's sake, I guess, at the end of the day? And it's just like, it's crazy to see this keep happening with Lucasfilm and Star Wars when there's just so many people out there who want to see a specific story told on the big screen with Star Wars, and it's just like the people running Lucasfilm aren't paying attention or are scared of falling into some kind of, I don't know what it is, some kind of money trap with releasing a specific type of story and it not being received well, because everything they've done so far movie-wise hasn't really worked with fans, at least. I think box office-wise, they know they're going to get theirs, and I think that's why they're still continuing to push forward with this project that Damon Lindelof has just left. And they're worried about their bank accounts at the end of the day, but it's just like, how many times are they gonna do this, And I know the big rumors that Kathleen Kennedy is supposed to be leaving at the some point at the end of this year or something, and I think a lot of blame is to be had from her. I mean, obviously she is the whole Lucasfilm head honcho over there, and everything at the end of the day kind of falls on her when it comes to these Lucasfilm projects with the films and TV shows. And I think, again, just another filmmaker dropping out on a project with them just kind of shows the leadership going on over there and kind of how they're running things, and it's not really working, clearly. And you see what is working with The Mandalorian and which episodes fans really respond to. You see what's working with the whole writing style and storytelling of Andor. You see what's working with the Bad Batch, like I've been saying this whole episode, with season 2, and just these types of stories and how well written they are, while keeping everything feeling like it's a part of this universe. I think everyone wants to see a different time period that's not forcing anything on us and trying not to make everyone accept the sequel trilogy, or kind of just get on everyone's good side with it. I think they just need to take their L's with that story point and kind of let it sit there for a little bit. And once it's kind of, in the back of everyone's mind and everyone's not thinking about it, you make either a Knights of the Old Republic, or you could call it the High Republic. Make either trilogy revolving around one of those time periods, But I think you can also make it into a serious television show with multiple seasons. And even though people know the story of the Knights of the Old Republic, you see the way The Last of Us just destroyed with audiences and TV ratings, with a story that people already know, but just seeing how well it's done on TV, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be doing that with the Knights of the Old Republic, or any kind of graphic novel, or just any kind of book from the past of any Star Wars released within the past 10, 20 years, you know? There's been amazing stories told ever since Return of the Jedi was in theaters. Just all these different stories being told from comic books and everything. Just adapt one of these stories into a film and adapt another one into a TV show, and don't worry about, people know how it's going to end or whatever. People want to see Jedis, people want to see Sith, and people want to see a well-executed story that's been well thought out and planned, and that has an ending. And if people know how it ends, then so be it. But again, there's so many other different avenues that they could take without just trying to focus on the sequel trilogy and trying to force it on us and make us accept it, or try to help fix what they never fully got right in the first place. But yeah, I mean, it's just laughable at this point with Damon Lindelof leaving. Star Wars Celebration is in 2 weeks, and I think they'll still have some cool things to announce TV-wise with The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. I know they got those directors from Everything Everywhere All at Once directing an episode of the Skeleton Crew, which is gonna be dope, I'm sure. But movie-wise, I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So I mean, what can I say, right? But they need to get it together. Hopefully they get it together. But until then, we're going to keep rolling with the Bad Batch. We're going to keep rolling with the Mandalorian. Jedi Survivor, the video game, got a new trailer that was released on Monday. It's a cool little story trailer with the gameplay. That game looks awesome. Can't wait for that. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, we got some good things to look forward to still, TV-wise, video game-wise, but Lucasfilm and their movies, I'm more nervous than ever, but hopefully they give us what we want at the end. But like I said, who knows? But yeah, I think that'll kind of wrap things up for this episode. I really liked what we got overall from Star Wars this week. A lot of cool things in the works with just different IPs, and like I said, with the whole video games and DC, Star Wars. Yeah, it's just exciting times that we're living in, but crazy times nonetheless. If you like this video, like it, subscribe to me, please. Comment any sort of constructive criticism that you might have for the pod. I'm all ears. You can follow me on Instagram at admiremymoonsault. You can follow me on Twitch at admiremymoonsault. On my Instagram, I post comic books, variant covers of new released comic books from Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all that. So if you're into comic books, follow me on IG. I'm going to keep pumping these out every week for y'all. I really appreciate whoever may be listening to this right now. I'm hoping to evolve this into something bigger for the channel going forward, and I don't exactly have a full-on vision on what I want to do with the channel, but for now I'm just sticking to this rhythm of dropping a pod every week, and I'm really enjoying doing it. So I'm hoping you stick around for the ride, and thanks again for listening. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Y'all stay safe, and I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.